With the biggest story of the day, and that is the news that DeWanna Bonner is no longer with the Indiana Fever. It was reported last night that DeWanna Bonner had no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and then the news broke today that the Indiana Fever had indeed.
What happens when you try to quit on your team mid-season, thinking you can control where you go next? Sometimes reality hits you like a freight train, and the fallout is something you just can't outrun. We're diving into one of the most talked about and controversial situations in the league right now: the abrupt exit of Dana Bonner from the Indiana Fever and the absolutely stunning consequences that have followed. This isn't just a player leaving a team, it's a masterclass in what not to do, revealing layers of alleged manipulation, questionable timing, and a price tag far higher than anyone expected.
TV statement. She said, "I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the Fever franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group of young players."
Dana Bonner's time with the Indiana Fever came to an incredibly sudden and messy end recently. She requested a release, and the team granted it, but the timing felt off to many. Here was a veteran player joining a team with the biggest spotlight in the league, a team that desperately needed experienced leadership, and she wanted out just weeks into the season. Her official statement spoke about the fit not working out despite shared goals and excitement, thanking the organization for granting my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. It sounded amicable enough on the surface, but behind the polite words, something far more dramatic was unfolding, hinting that the real reasons for her departure were very different and far more calculated.
Thing that makes DeWanna Bonner look really, really bad. It makes DB look really, really bad. And it's the fact that she has told all other teams, other than the Mercury, don't sign her.
When the Fever released Bonner, the standard procedure meant she was placed on waivers. Now, here's where the situation takes a wild turn. Being on waivers means any other team in the league can simply claim you, and if they do, they take on your existing contract and full salary. In Bonner's case, that was a significant sum, over $200,000 for the season. You would think a veteran player with championship experience, available for essentially nothing more than her salary, would be instantly snatched up by a team looking for depth or leadership. But that's not what happened. Teams across the league stayed completely silent. Days went by, and nobody put in a claim. It was baffling from the outside. Why would every single team ignore an available player who, on paper, could help someone? The silence wasn't just strange, it felt deliberate, almost as if teams were actively avoiding her.
And look, I understand that's where she wants to go. Why didn't she go there in the summer? We know why, because she couldn't have got her max contract. And by the way, people are like, oh, they can give her the minimum. No, they can't. The Phoenix Mercury can give her a prorated $80,000 salary for the rest of the year. So she's only going to lose about 30K-ish. And she's going to lose about 40, 50K. Whereas they would have been only able to sign her earlier on. Well, they would only be able to sign her for nothing. Because again, we can't forget as well, the Phoenix Mercury cut Sevgi Uzun. The Phoenix Mercury have a bunch of players signed on hardships and a bunch of players that they can cut. Like, they literally cap space magicked up. And as soon as cap space magics up for the the Phoenix Mercury.
And as the silence lingered, the shocking truth, or at least the widely reported truth, began to surface about why no team would touch her. It wasn't that they didn't want a player, it was that she reportedly didn't want them. According to multiple reports, Dana Bonner had communicated to every single team in the league, except for one, that she had no intention of playing for them even if they claimed her. She was essentially telling teams, don't bother. She wasn't acting like a waived player hoping for a chance. She was acting like a superstar free agent dictating her terms and her preferred destination, completely ignoring the reality of her contract situation. This level of apparent entitlement and attempt to manipulate the waiver process was truly breathtaking to many observers. So, what was the single team Bonner reportedly did want to play for? The Phoenix Mercury. And this brings us to the deeply speculated core of the issue and the questionable timing. Many believe the driving force behind Bonner's desire to leave Indiana wasn't just a poor fit on the court, but a strong desire to play with her partner, Phoenix Mercury star Alyssa Thomas. While there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to be close to a loved one, critics point to the way this situation unfolded. Bonner signed a substantial deal with Indiana, took their money, enjoyed the unprecedented spotlight surrounding the Fever and Caitlin Clark, played in sold-out arenas, and posed for major publications. Then, suspiciously, her desire to leave only seemed to solidify right around the time the Phoenix Mercury were able to create enough salary cap space to potentially sign her. This timing has led many to believe the plan wasn't a sudden realization the fit didn't work, but potentially a calculated move all along. Leverage the Indiana opportunity and salary until Phoenix could afford her, then force a move. The financial consequences of this strategy for Bonner are stark and, frankly, devastating. Had another team claimed her off waivers, she would have received her full $200,000 salary for the season. By telling every team but Phoenix to stay away, she ensured she wouldn't be claimed. Now, if she does end up signing with the Mercury, it will almost certainly be for a prorated veteran minimum contract, likely somewhere around $80,000 for the remainder of the year. That's a difference of over $100,000 she is voluntarily forfeiting because she is trying to dictate her playing location while under contract. She is literally costing herself a fortune by attempting to control a situation that the league's rules are designed to prevent players from controlling in this manner. It's a high price to pay for trying to game the system. But here's the ultimate twist that makes this whole saga even more impactful for Bonner. Reports indicate that even the Phoenix Mercury are now reportedly having second thoughts about signing her. Think about the sheer, almost poetic irony of that. She burned bridges, quit on her team mid-season, potentially sacrificed over $100,000, all to force her way to one specific team. And now that team is looking at the situation she created and asking themselves, do we really want a player who quits on her teammates when things get tough? Do we want to disrupt the chemistry of our current roster, which is actually playing well with players who want to be here and are committed to our system, for someone who just proved she's unreliable? Why would they risk their current positive momentum and locker room culture for someone who demonstrated such questionable professional judgment? This entire episode has undoubtedly inflicted severe damage on Dana Bonner's professional reputation across the league. In a league with only 12 teams and limited roster spots, your reputation for being a reliable, committed teammate and professional is paramount. What GM or coach wants to bring in a player who just showed they are willing to abandon their team mid-season when things aren't going perfectly? The message it sends to your existing players is toxic. It tells them commitment is optional if you're unhappy. Bonner is now, according to many, seen as damaged goods, a player potentially blacklisted by teams who prioritize stability and professionalism. Her actions have painted a clear picture that she might put personal desires above team obligations, and that's a label that's incredibly hard to shake. The fallout from Bonner's actions extends beyond just her own career. It significantly impacts the Indiana Fever, and particularly young players like Caitlin Clark. These young athletes were looking to veterans like Bonner for leadership, guidance on navigating the pressures of the WNBA spotlight. Instead, they saw a veteran seemingly abandon them when the going got tough. Clark herself had expressed excitement about playing with Bonner and put effort into building chemistry in the preseason. To have someone she looked up to essentially decide they didn't want to be there had to sting. This wasn't leadership. It felt like abandonment, adding another layer of chaos and negativity to a team already facing immense scrutiny. Furthermore, this situation sets a potentially dangerous precedent for the entire league. If players can simply quit when they're unhappy and dictate where they'll play next without significant consequence, why would anyone honor their contracts? It undermines the stability and professionalism the WNBA is working hard to build. Comparing Bonner's situation to other high-profile players forcing their way out, like Ben Simmons demanding a trade from Philadelphia or Jimmy Butler in Minnesota, provides context, but also highlights why Bonner's specific scenario looks so poor. While Simmons and Butler were criticized for damaging team culture, they were also younger, undisputed superstars with immense value. Bonner is 36, arguably past her prime, yet she's acting like she has the leverage of a league MVP. Like Simmons, she's allegedly holding out for one team, but unlike Simmons, who was younger with theoretical future value, Bonner's current demonstrated behavior, quitting mid-season, makes her a far riskier acquisition for any team, especially given her age. It underscores the perceived audacity of her actions relative to her standing. Ultimately, the Dana Bonner saga is shaping up to be a textbook example of consequences. She reportedly attempted to manipulate the system, prioritizing her personal desires and preferred destination over her contractual obligations and commitment to her team. She seemingly thought she could just walk away from Indiana and slide right onto the roster she wanted. Instead, she's potentially facing a six-figure loss in salary, a severely damaged reputation that could impact her future employment, and even the possibility that the team she burned bridges to reach might not even want her. The basketball world is watching, and the message is clear. Actions have repercussions, and sometimes karma works precisely how it should.